Anderson was a 39-year-old vice president and co-founder of the Covey Leadership Center, the organization that brought the world the best-selling business self-help book of the time, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It was during this time at the peak of his career that Anderson found himself in an all-day executive community meeting, so overcome with crippling despair for seemingly no reason that he was barely able to function. There were no adverse circumstances precipitating his descent into this depressive episode. The paralyzing misery occurred without violation. After years of seeking remedies to lessen depression's pain, Anderson would be deemed treatment-resistant, having tried every class of antidepressant medication, undergoing talk therapy, self-medicating with prescription painkillers, and in a last-ditch effort, undergoing the highly controversial and stigmatized practice of electroconvulsive therapy, all to no avail. Yet, through persistence and with the help of a creative psychiatrist, Anderson would eventually cobble together a treatment program that has allowed him to survive to tell the tale. And Brad also wanted me to say that today's topic will focus on 2 of our tenets, and those 2 tenets were meaning comes from making a difference, and that we should be accepted and be accepted. And so without further ado, let us welcome our guest speaker, Brad Anderson.
Okay, now it makes me more nervous. I don't know what I can get away with up here.
We'll find out.
About my palliative care program, but that might scare people. Well, this says 10 minutes left, is that?
Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to take that.
That's pretty quick.
Yep.
You're already halfway done, Brad.
I'm Brad, as I said. Okay, we good?
Yes.
All right, no more 10 minutes. You're my timer. Where is our, okay. So the subtitle there, I become really open about that with my neighbors. My neighbors are all, without exception, pretty devout in a certain type of thinking. And some of them have, well, that's great, Brad. And other people, oh shit, what? It ranges all over, but it's shocking. I know it's shocking. And it's my new thing. I say, hey, I'll bet you've never met somebody who is an awesome bishop. I can back that up. And did a stint fully graduated from retail. You know what I mean? I think that makes me somewhat unique. All right, why don't we go to the next one?
Okay, what's the clip?
Okay, I'll leave that. Thank you, Martin. I'm not really impaired. I have my tools here. I want to do a little word association. It's going to be about a famous actor. I'm not going to tell you their gender, their age, the types of roles they've taken, time period they were famous. Just know that they won many Academy Awards, all right? So I'm going to say their name, and as soon as I say their name, don't think too much. Don't Google, who's the most, whatever I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say the name, and you're going to shout out the first thing that comes to your mind. What do you associate with this person and his roles? All right? The name is Robert De Niro. What?
Moxer. Tough guy.
You said comedy. Okay, that's not what I want.
He's done some comedy.
But he's done some great comedy. Exactly. What else? Come on. You're my
powerful.
You're my plant. Somebody else.
Assertive.
What?
Assertive.
Assertive.
Raging Bull.
That's putting it pretty mildly. Okay, you can see I'm fishing for an answer.
Aggressive.
Who saw the new one, Irishman? What does he do? He murders dozens of people. Cold blood. Even his boss, doing harm. Right? So, I guess it didn't work as well. To me, it works great. So let's forget about my feelings right now. That's not important. Let's play the clip. And there's no audio, and it's because all you're going to see is Mr. De Niro. He's not going to be talking, so there's no point in having live. The context is an interview with Katie Couric. She's interviewing Mr. De Niro, Bradley Cooper, who stars in the movie as De Niro's son, and the director, David Russell. David Russell happens to have a son in the movie. It's mentally ill. He gives him a cameo. He is bipolar. And at some point, something struck Mr. De Niro. So let's see what happens when Katie says, did you feel any extra connection to this because you knew the director's son had this issue? Okay, so watch, she's not talking. Getting a little comfort from Bradley. The man on the right is the father. And so he never does say, that's probably good. Do you have any reactions to that? Don't say what you think I want you to say. What's your reaction?
Clearly it touched.
That's fine.
Clearly it touched an emotional nerve, yeah.
Yeah. And if we had audio, we still wouldn't know, because he doesn't talk. What other thoughts?
Well, it looks like he's not a
Hey, Bryce, come on. I know.
Looks like he's probably not a sociopath.
Yeah, he's acting in his roles against his nature, right? He's paid a lot of money.
So tough after all.
Pardon me?
Not so tough.
It's not so tough after all when you talk about a certain thing. If you talk about murdering in the mafia, he seems to be okay. But if you talk about a young man with mental illness, it triggers him to think about somebody in his circle, and that's almost always what it takes. Somebody close to you, a family member. My wife has had to deal with it for a long time, and it's not gone so well, and I don't blame her. She said she didn't sign up for this. I got her rehab. First thing she said was, "You need to understand this." Please, I'm not criticizing you. This is absolutely true from her point of view. She said, "You need to understand that I'm married to I've got this reblazing in my mind. I'm married to a depressed drug addict who smokes and lies." Right? So, there you go. That's one assessment of a family member who's dealing the best they can. I mean, she's gone to see her bishop many times. She's done everything she can in her world, right? So, Mr. De Niro is obviously struck by that, and I'm just saying, somebody in your world, you may not know, because we're very good at covering it up. I was going to start out by giving you my best smile, but I need Botox. They say it can raise your lips into a smile. It's actually a treatment for depression. It raises you into a smile. So I was going to come in here and say, do I look depressed? I'll tell you, I don't look depressed right now. But there are people walking around, like me, who cover it up. And then they can only do it so long. And then they give out. They're done. It's different for each person. The saddest one for me, right out of rehab, I should have been doing okay. I got home and I laid there in bed on Christmas Day. It was snowing, the perfect Christmas day. My wife said, let's take the grandkids sledding. I would love to have taken the grandkids sledding. I love photography. I love getting their pictures. I could not get my butt out of bed. I wanted to. Lots of people can't get their butt out of bed to take a shower or to tie their shoes. It's daunting to think about that. It's like, holy crap, I can't. For me, it's going to Costco. I mean, everybody goes to Costco, and that's part of the depression. You look around and you see these people, and they all seem like just throwing stuff in their cart, buying it up, and they're happy and they're smiling. And I'm in there, okay, I gotta get in and out. What's the shortest line? Get me out of this place. It's not a bad place, it's just that task has hit me as a tough one. All right, I'm telling you this not because you should understand it, but you should understand that can happen. It does happen often with depressed. All right, you gave my story, so I don't need to do that, but I'll touch on it. This meeting he referred to, I was at the peak of my career. That was a picture at the time period. What's next, Martin? Okay, that's a company party and my sweet wife. Back in the day when this story happened, 92. So what I'm trying to illustrate up here is that I'm also an awesome athlete. Go to the next one. I did play college golf on scholarship. I was golf of the year. Is there one? Okay, I guess that's it. What's the next one? Yeah, okay, I was making lots of money. I've been given ownership in the company, not stock options, ownership like this amount. What else do we have? Trophies. I was flying around the world. We were winning international film awards for short films that we pioneered. And so life was pretty good. And then I'm in this meeting and holy crap, I couldn't function. I'd been to the meeting many times. I wasn't anxious. I sat there, and fortunately I brought VHS. Anybody know what a VHS? You know what a VCR is?
Yes.
I just checked. There's some younger people that would make fun of me for my lack of skill in the new world. I popped it in. It was a rough cut, about 8-10 minutes long. We did it in Paris. It was the worst one, but it was all I had. And this group was very critical. They loved to pick apart stuff they didn't know anything about. Like when you show them a rough cut back then, there'd be numbers on the screen, the time code for the editor, and they'd say, well, it's pretty good, but can you get rid of those numbers? Yeah. So I stopped asking. They couldn't look past just these obvious things. So I popped it in, expecting the worst. I didn't say a single thing. I said, this is a new film. Boom. Played it, 10 minutes, stood there, waiting for the worst. Popped it out, braced myself, and spontaneous applause. Boom. Whoa! Not what I expected. I sat down as quick as I could. I was still not doing so great. I got up and walked across the street and got the only thing I could think of. I didn't have drugs then. I'm not promoting certain things. You know what? I ended up in rehab, right? I walked across the street, bought a Diet Coke, tiny little bit of caffeine hit. And the point of that was that, do we have the volition one? Yeah. This is Andrew Solomon. He has a TED Talk you might want to look at. It's called Depression, The Secret We Share. It's one of the top TED Talks. He's got a book called The Noonday Demon. I've read it several times. It's about like that. It's not an easy read. It's a memoir, and it's also this exhaustive analysis of depression across cultures, time, everything. And he has some amazing insights. This is one. The key word up there is volition, right? I did not choose that descent into hell. It just happened. Look, later on he's going to talk about depression as a result of a genetic vulnerability, which I have. I found my mother in a suicide attempt, and we'll talk about that. And triggering circumstances. So, does that make sense? Two things. You've already got the tendency, and something happens that, boom, often the cause of a suicidal ideation. So when he talks about no reason at all, I thought, holy crap, that's exactly what happened. I could think of nothing. I was involved in my kids' lives. I was a coach. I worked hard. I had a good job. I wasn't cheating on my wife. I wasn't doing, what would I have been doing? Cocaine. That was the big thing about cocaine. I wasn't doing cocaine. Although I picked the kid up and gave him the right tracks the other day, and we got into his background, and he said he could score me something. We're not going to do it. They told me in rehab, don't do that. Don't do that, don't do MBA, because I thought that would be awesome, and don't do meth. So you learn stuff in rehab, but not from your therapist, but from your fellow inmates. I'm serious about that. I learned so much, and I was an old guy. So I walked into rehab first day, and I was disoriented. I wasn't detoxed. I shouldn't have even been there. The doctor said, you should not be here. Why in the hell are you here? I hadn't even detoxed. LBS is awesome program. And so I walked up, everybody was there hanging out, and from across the room, this young woman yells out, hey, what's your DOC? Does anybody know what that? I didn't. I did not. What is it?
Drug of choice.
You said
Drug of choice.
drug of choice, yeah. So, I don't know if you have a drug of choice. This is a drug. Solomon talks about one of his friends going overseas and he with a Mormon family who didn't drink coffee and didn't have any, and the guy went into withdrawal. Right? So, I mean, it's pretty minor, but it's, lots of people have a tough time getting by without that. So, My rehab friends taught me so much. One of them was a young woman who said in her notebook, you put out your notebook before you leave, and everybody writes nice things. And the other day I was kind of lonely, and I picked it up and read it. Her name's Taylor. You'll never meet her. She's from way out state. And we got to be good friends. And she said, I know, Brad, that you want to go back to your drugs, but exercise is the key. You know that. You know you need to exercise. Now, there is research that said that exercise would benefit people with depression. So Martin wants me to talk about solutions. That's one, if you could do it. It's great. I mean, it's scientifically proven. What's the problem, would you say, if somebody is seriously depressed?
Can't get out of bed.
Exercise. The thought of dragging yourself out of bed, putting on your exercise clothes, getting on the treadmill or whatever it is, for 30 minutes or whatever, is just, it's like going to Costco. No, it's worse than going to Costco. You can't do it. It's well-meaning. Am I getting ahead of myself about things to say and not say?
Well, you want to talk about your experience with your mom.
My mom, okay, let's go to my mom. All right, so let's go to the golf picture. I told you I was an awesome golfer. I don't know, anybody play golf? You heard of Billy Casper? Billy Casper is rated as the most underrated golfer of all time.
He's local too, right?
Well, he was. He's dead. He passed away. But he lived in Maplewood. A devout Mormon. When he joined the Mormon church in about '68, I used to read the paper voraciously, and I saw in the Deseret News, of all papers, that Billy Casper had joined the Mormon church, all thanks to the editor of the sports page, Packard. And it was a huge, you can imagine, this guy's won the Masters, that's one of the major tournaments, he's won the US Open. All right, so golf, we're on golf, right? So that ties into golf. Billy Casper said to my friend, he saw me hit a tee shot, he said, that guy's got a great swing, right? I said, short, clear. I've got a video on my phone. It's from last week, I mean, it's recent. It's not like you're on the jump. So, during that time period, right there, about 72, I was in college at Utah State. I played on the golf team. And one night I was out with one of my buddies from previous year. He was older than me, and I was younger, and I was underage, and we went to this place called the Owl Bar in Utah, and we shot some billiards and drank a beer. I usually can only drink one beer and I'm done. And Clark said, why don't we go to the Cactus Club? And I said, well, what I was thinking was, no way in hell am I going to the Cactus Club. They have a very nasty reputation for busting underage drinkers, and that was my worst fear of life, was to end up in jail as a derelict drinker. So I excused myself, I made up some excuse to Clark. I said, I have to get up early in the morning to go to work, which I did. So I went home, and it's a very good thing I left my friend. I walked into my bedroom, and there, lying on the floor, was my mother, unconscious in a pool of vomit. And I don't recall what I thought, other than, I better get her to the ER ASAP. I did know that she'd taken how many Quaaludes, if you remember Quaaludes, they've been banned. They're so dangerous. She'd taken however many Quaaludes. I don't believe it was a cry for help. There are times that people, I talked to somebody the other day, she said, oh, I made a suicide attempt. I said, what did you do? Oh, I took a handful of Ambien. That's not gonna do it. When you're looking at how much of this drug does it take to kill me, I know shit like that, okay? I do. A handful of Ambien, for me, I did that. I did 3 straight, I went on an Ambien binge once, a couple years ago, and I destroyed my my brick mailbox. So, I know what it takes. I believe that she washed it down with some booze, probably vodka. I was so nervous on my first date with the Mormon girls and my wife. I went to a local store, bought some cigarettes, looked at my mother's liquor cabinet to pick up my shots. I've never been out with them. So that calmed me down. Well, that's my mom when she was young. So what happened, sorry. So I knew I had to get her to the ER. I picked her up, she's light, but did you ever lift somebody and they were unconscious? They don't help you much. You know, they're sort of like a sack of potatoes. And even though she's light, I'm not that big, but I mean, I'm sure the adrenaline was pumping like crazy. I got her up on my shoulder, got her out to the garage, into the car in the back seat, drove to the ER, told them what was going on, and they said thank you, and her stomach was pumped, and I went home. And when I got home, I didn't know this at the time. I was probably in shock of some type. And because I didn't know, I had no idea. There was no warnings. So you hear a lot about suicide prevention. I could have been a suicide preventer if I'd been more attuned to my mother and how my father had dumped her very publicly and unceremoniously. She'd once been the socialite in Logan, right in the key of all the fun, the dance clubs and all that stuff. Now she was a disgraced divorcee. In the early 70s, that wasn't cool. Now, a lot more common. Then, in a small town like Logan, all her friends seem to just disappear, right? All that's going on. She's been rejected by her husband, her friends, and I'm 19 years old, and I'm not clued in at all to what she's going through. I could have been. I wish I had been. I don't know I could have prevented it, but she was in a bad way, and when I got home, I sat down in her little sat down family room, and I read these notes. There were notes scattered all over the house. I gathered them up, and I smoked a cigarette, and I looked at these notes, and they were one after another, just hateful things about my father. Just the worst kinds of statements and accusations you could believe. And I was like, holy crap. My dad had never did that. I mean, he got me into sports, golf, skiing, basketball, all that kind of stuff. And then he called me that morning. He's in Sunday from my family. And so there again, my mother's gone through all the hell of moving to this resort town, seeing her husband engage in all kinds of extramarital stuff, then getting told she's done, moving back. It was a tough time, right? I guess 19-year-old boys aren't too good at looking at that when they're focused on, pretty much in this order, their girlfriend, golf, music, and working. That was pretty much my life. And occasionally going out with my friends and having fun. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there are signs sometimes, and especially when people give out in their giving of trying to fake it. There's a person in my ward, I'm a home teacher, by the way. I was told I was a home teacher. The guy didn't know what to call it, something like ministering something. And he told me who it was. And then he says that this young woman that I know suffers from depression. Oh, okay. Maybe that's a sign. Maybe I can talk to her. So I said, Dan, you make the appointment. Dan knows my problems, and I ran into her at Costco of all places, totally by chance, and I stopped and talked to her. I said, hey, I'm your new, whatever we call that, home teacher. And I did not say the D word at all. Didn't bring it up, didn't want to hurt her. But I said enough that she got what I was trying to say. And she said, oh, well, I've had ECT. Has anybody heard of ECT? Mm-hmm. ECT stands for electroconvulsive therapy. It's sort of the last resort. And in 72, Thomas Eagleton, you probably never heard of, he was chosen by McGovern as his running mate against Nixon. And the press dug up some dirt, which wouldn't be dirt to me, that Eagleton had at one time experienced ECT. And he resigned. The stigma and the fear was so great. He got out of it. So, should we do this one? Okay, so if you don't think it's serious, these are some facts. You can read them. That's a big number, 350 million, that's larger than this country. Number two really hit me when I read that. disability. My career has been ruined, and I'm not exaggerating, it's been ruined by depression. I had about 20 good years, and the last 20 have been beyond hell. And so, I consider myself disabled. So you're listening to this disabled guy, right? So whenever I screw up, just chalk it up, although who's disabled. Right, Mark, is that? I like little caveats like that. Suicide, 45,000, roughly, 45 to 7 in this country alone. I read something like every 44 seconds, something like that. And most of those, I've read up to 90% are caused, the person is suffering from a mental illness. Not everybody that dies by suicide. By the way, it's proper to say die by suicide, then commit suicide, just as an FYI. Commit suicide implies they committed a sin. Right? Criminals commit crimes. People that die by suicide die because they don't have any other option that they seek. And so things like, well, look at all you have to live for. That just induces guilt. You know, people have said, is that the legacy you want to leave for your 12 grandkids? Well, no, of course not. Just like I wanted to go skiing, but there's only so much you can do. So that one talks about treatment. Treatment's tough to get. It's a national crisis. It's tough, and it's not only tough to find someone, whether it's a shrink or a therapist, but then you have to get along with them. You know? You have to like them. You have to feel like they understand you. You have to feel like they like you if they're on your side, right? I'm doing a thing right now. It's illegal, but it's been legal at Johns Hopkins. It's called, I'm being treated for this with mushrooms, shrooms, psilocybin. The experts don't like shrooms, so I'm calling. You're not doing this as I'm in a lot of pain from something. So that didn't work, and I've tried it all. And Solomon talks about, you know, the solution is different for everybody. So, you know, I've done ECT twice, which I told this young woman, I held up 2 fingers, like, yep, I've done that. 12 rounds each time. I've done ketamine infusions, ketamine injections. I forget how many. You know, in 2005, I flew to Canada. We did a new experimental thing that wasn't legal called transcranial magnetic stimulation to try to avoid ECT. It didn't work. So I've done other things. We don't need to talk about those. All right, this is something Martin wanted me to talk about. What comes to mind when you read that? So the person's in despair, and it's because they've been a bad person. What do you pick? Do you believe it? Is there a way to modify it?
I used to believe it.
Okay, well, Martin, you need to stop giving me the answers. You know the answers. Come on. You've seen that, or if you haven't, it doesn't matter. Just read it.
It sounds like a very simple solution to a complex problem.
How is it simple?
Well, if someone's encountering someone with depression, they don't know how to handle it, they can quickly slap on that very simplified description of it, and they don't have to deal with the complexity of the issue.
Right. Well, other interpretations of how that could go wrong for someone. If they believe that, they truly believe it, they suffered a mental illness. Sorry? It's your fault, right? If I were more righteous, you know, if I prayed more, served more, you know, in my church job more, harder, double down, right? If I did that, damn it, that would solve my despair. Well, I did that. I went through that. I believed that. When I was a bishop. That's why I'm not a bishop. That's why I left. I quit after 4 brutal years. It's because I realized that wasn't true. It wasn't true in any. Yes, despair can come because we do bad things, of course. But in this sense, people read into that, despair equals depression, despair equals anxiety, despair equals bipolar disorder. And that's how they read it. Oh, okay, I got the solution. Finally, I knew if I read this enough, scriptures, I would understand. I'd be enlightened. And then they'd try, and as I tried, and I got to the point, it wasn't anything with the history, you know, the 14-year-old that were described as close to their 15th birthday. Remember that one? It wasn't that. I didn't know that stuff. That wasn't popular. It was, the internet was just coming online. It was this. It was that I could not function. I could no longer believe in a God that would do this to me. Now you say, well, wait a minute. There are people with cancer. There are people with, you know, they're going down. They're terminal. Why do you think God singled you out? Not me in particular, but this thing, this descendant without volition, I got genetics and now some triggering things, right? I don't feel like, I've been in some blank books, so maybe you should go on.
You want to go into this?
All right, I think we did that one. We've already talked about that. The difficulty is people will, I rode up the lift one time with a young pharmaceutical rep in Whistler, and I asked her about her career, and she worked for Lilly, and of course they make Prozac, and she was so proud. She said, our product is saving lives. Well, I've taken Prozac more times than I care to remember. Didn't do anything for me, but it helps some people. I would never say don't take a drug that's helping you. I would say this about those types of drugs. There's something that I experienced. How are we on time?
You're good, you got 10 minutes.
Okay. It was right after I left, no, I was right about leaving Cutting in 97. On paper, I was in Vancouver with my family, and I picked up the paper, I was checking the stocks, and I was worth $9 million right then. Holy crap, that's awesome. I don't want these drugs. So I stopped taking them. Well, a couple days later, we went up to Whistler to do mountain biking. I won't go into all the details, but my reaction to going off the drugs, which is called antidepressant discontinuation syndrome. It means don't stop taking the drugs, right? You got to taper. And there was a podcast I gave my friend the other day, I'm worried about him, about a Johns Hopkins doctor who got addicted to opiates because he got in a bad crash. And the point was, there are no doctors out there who know how to get you off this stuff. They're very good at writing the script, but once they give you that, I've never been told in all the years I've been going to these people about what I just told you. My daughter went the other day, she's got an awesome doctor, and this doctor said to Brittany, she taught her about antidepressant, because she was going to put her on the same drug. It's called Effexor. It's an SNRI, similar to an SRI. So those are some treatments that help. There are people that have benefited. You know, every time I go, I cross my fingers, and so far it's not working. That's why I had my palliative care program, which means, you know, reduce suffering for the terminally ill. That's the idea behind palliative care. So my palliative care is in that bag over there. It consists of, well, this is part of it, my awesome iPhone. I text people way more than they want. This is part of it. This drives my wife crazy. There's cigarettes in there. That's my palliative care program. That's not all of it, but that's it. All right. Let's go on. All right. Anybody recognize who those people are? One of them is the greatest president other than Lincoln. I'll give you a hint. Rough Riders, Bull Moose, 1908, Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah. Teddy Roosevelt's my all-time hero.
He's great.
His father, pardon me?
I like him.
You like him? Why do you like him?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, why? Oh, I like his, the national parks, he got that started, trust busting. I liked his, the way he, apparently he was just very social with everyone around the legislative branch, so you just go out and like, hey, let's do some badminton, and then let's talk about these
Yeah.
policies.
Yeah.
I went and I saw, in North Dakota, there's a place where in the Badlands where he used to be.
Right. You know
and-
why he went there?
Yeah, it was helping his, his asthma and depression, I think.
Yes, he suffered from chronic asthma as a child.
Yeah.
David McCullough, great writer, has written a book, I've got it, it's the early years. The reason, in addition, he went to North Dakota was that his wife died and his mother died on the same day, Valentine's Day. His wife, I don't know. His wife had given birth, and he wrote in his diary an X. He wrote in his diary every day. On this day, I could do it. He wrote an X and said, "The light has gone out of my life." That's a side point. The father said, Theodore Roosevelt Sr. said to young T.D., 10 years old, that was his nickname. He said, "T.D., you have the body, but you have not the, you have the mind, but you do not have the body. You must make your body." And the little boy said, "I will make my body." And that's what he did. He began a life of vigorous exercise. He went to North Dakota to escape the pain of being around where his wife and mother died on the same day. And that became the pattern for his life. Whenever he found an obstacle or something tough, he would just throw himself in physically and exhaust himself. And the things you mentioned are, landmark kinds of things. We could use him today around trust busting and all that. So what if my father had said to me, "Brad, you have the body, right? Look, it's not bad, probably. I work out some. I watch how much sugar I put in this stuff." What if he said, "You have the body, now I have a decent body, but you don't have the mind, you must make your mind." You see the connection there? How did I do that? Teddy Roosevelt knew what to do. Get out there and bust your butt and go to North Carolina and work hard and be a Bronco buster and go to Cuba and fight the Spaniards and be a war hero. He knew what to do. I don't know what to do. What do I do to make my mind? I've tried lots of things. And I'm sort of running on fumes, but that's better than not, right? And so yesterday I got 4 texts. People, "Are you okay, Brad?" What? Yeah, I'm okay. So people are aware. I tell people that I feel safe to tell, but now I don't care. I just tell everybody about the rehab thing. And I like to see their reactions. Because rehab has a stigma. Guess who the first person to visit me in rehab on visiting? My bishop. That was cool. But I always got nervous on visiting because I felt like I had to entertain everybody. And all these people would come, and it was a real tough process to get your friends to come. The policy was, visiting day, you can have your family and your clergy. I said, "What about my friends? They want to come." Nope. Well, I fought back. I like my therapist. I fought back and so I said, "Look, I want to see my friends. They want to come here." So she said, "All right, you need to give me their numbers. I will call them and vet them." That was such a pain. Anyway, they came. They got through, they passed, and afterwards, several people said, "Brad, we've never seen friends like yours. These are university professors and owners of multi-million-dollar businesses. And holy heck, you know why they don't want other people. They're gonna bring them stuff, right?" Well, my friends would be not bringing me stuff. And they saw it. Well, that's a conundrum. How do you make your mind when your mind is turned against you? Andrew Solomon said, I never really got this until recently. He said, depression is the flaw in love. Flaw in love, it sounds literary, but I don't get it. What I think he means is that love is one of the antidotes to depression. I really believe that. I really believe that. love from, my grandkids. My daughter, I took her to the Alhambra on daddy-daughter date the other night, which was horrifying. I have photos to prove it. I'm going to put them safely away. It's a great shot. I don't even know what I was talking about there. We got that one, right? And then the final thing is I ended this book. It's an awesome book. And if anybody says they're interested, I just say, look, don't buy the book. Just read the top line of the endorsement. This is from a famous person, right? I only have one famous person. But she's not famous to you, but in these circles she's famous. She has 18 million views of her TED Talk. It's only 6 minutes. It's called Grit. Grit, as in being resilient, bouncing back.
Angela Duckworth?
Got it.
You got it? How'd you know?
I just follow the TED
So
circuits.
you watch TED Talk? Okay. Great for you. Well, I encourage you to watch it. I encourage you to show it to your kids if you've got kids. She's Asian American. I don't know what Asian country. This is my best thing I can say about my book. It's said by somebody else. Brad Anderson gives us a beautifully written, achingly honest first-person account of depression. And then I think this is important for this group. I recommend this to anyone who is on the inside of depression, or on the outside looking in. You don't have depression, but you know that that person does. And as a leader, as a friend, or a loved one. Whether that's true or not, what she said about the book, I don't know. I didn't write that with any intent to publish it. I got really mad at my boss one day. It pissed me off. I could say he emasculated me in front of a lot of people. I just said, F you, and I went to the back of the room. It was a training I'd set up. It's a lot of work to do. I thought I was the trainer. I've been a pretty good trainer. I've worked for HP, and I've done lots of that. And no, I'm going to be the trainer. Okay. I went to the back of it. It was a long room like this. I went way back there with a folding chair just like that. Took out my laptop. I just started writing. And I just said, screw you to him. And I kept writing during the day. I was getting paid to write that. Not much, but I got paid. And I asked Valerie, a very talented writer, I said, do you think this is ethical for you to do this on company time? Yeah, Brad. After the shit he put you, I'm sorry, I'm way too much. After what he put you through, yeah, keep writing. And then she gave me the title, Review from Under My Desk, which is a big part of why I got published. The publisher called me up. I was blue. I wasn't even pursuing it. They said, this is the best title we've seen all year. I texted Valerie. Thank you, Valerie. I think you were a big part of getting these published. I don't even know if the publisher read it. They just liked the title. All right. We want to talk about solutions more, or?
I think maybe you're ready for questions here.
Yes. Okay, Q&A. Okay, good. I like these Q codes. I've never had that.
I want to make a point. Brad's a friend of mine. He's a great guy, great experience. He's just sense of humor. He's hilarious.
Yeah,
You've
not
seen
so
glimpses
funny right
today. But I'm going to respectfully disagree. It's a good book. You should read it. I'm on chapter 3 right now. It just really pulls you in. The introduction is worth reading. Great introduction from a guy from Bible
Joseph
Stories.
Rennie?
Yeah. So I'd say it's on Amazon.
There's some of that is overblown. I took some of it out.
Okay. Anyway, it's a good book. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Are
Any questions then?
Oh,
Questions?
Q&A.
So I wonder how are your children doing in their adult lives at this point? Like you talked about your mother with her depression and watching
Yeah,
her.
that's a tough one. I have a friend in Austin. He knows all about me. He works in youth detention. He knows about addiction. He knows about that. He was raised by a severely mentally ill mother to the point that she raised him. He knows more about being in a mentally ill home than I do. She was much more severe compared to me. And I gave this, he set me up to do these, I gave 2 3-hour presentations a couple of days in a row, which he set up. And, we were talking about suicide one time. And he said, Suicide's cowardly. It takes courage to avoid that. And I thought, hey, of all the people that should know better, it would be you. It's not. In some cultures, they see it as an act of bravery. You know, celebrate. Yeah, but that person was through and they ended their suffering. You know, I've thought seriously about moving to Oregon. You have to live there for a year, I'm sure. You have to get 2 certified letters from shrinks, and then you can get euthanized. Or you can go to the Netherlands. I'm sure there's other ways. And those thoughts go through your mind. Like, how do I get out of this? How am I going to?
So like with your children.
Oh, okay, yeah. So my point about David,
Yeah.
he purposely, so this is a good thing about him. He said that he purposely he didn't have children of his own because of his mother. He knew he had that gene in his system somewhere. He's not going to believe it, but he knows it's in there. And he didn't want to do that to his kids. Well, I didn't know any of this. I was pumping them out, and I love them, and they struggle at various levels. Depression, anxiety, anger. I mean, they're all functional. They have good jobs. 4 of the 5 had good marriages to great parents. But it's not, what's really sad is it's hit them earlier than it hit me. I got to my, say, mid-40s and was productive, and they're experiencing it younger than that, and that's hard to watch. And to not be able to say, well, then do this. I can give them a lot of ideas, but I don't know. And then I worry about my grandkids. You know? Why did I have kids? But look what I did.
Well,
I didn't know.
You already answered that.
Maybe if I'd been paying attention to my mother, I would have thought, and her mother was troubled, and didn't cross my mind.
Thank you.
So, I imagine you've had conversations with lots of people who have at least had the intention of wanting to help or understand you. My question is, what is a good way to start a conversation with someone who is experiencing depression? And what is a way that you see people do a lot, but that's not effective or rubs you the wrong way?
Can I take your last one first?
Yeah, you do it.
You're all friendly, that's what not to say?
Yeah, or not to
Is
say.
that?
Yeah, like someone who's well-intentioned, but they say the wrong thing.
Yeah, they want to help, but they say something that makes it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here's a perfect one. What have you got to be depressed about? You live in a nice house, you have a nice car, you have a great family, you got a great job. What the hell's wrong with you? Snap out of it. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. That's not helpful, folks. Go exercise. That's not helpful. It's well intended, but it's not helpful. All the things that science has proven that helps. That's great if you can do them. Eat better. You know, I have therapists right now say you eat crap and better. That doesn't make a difference how you eat. I really don't believe that. So that's the main thing. Never say, what do you have to be depressed about? You've got a great life. There are lots of other hurtful things. They're even worse, like attributing your depression to your character. It's part of your character. You could change it if you wanted. You just don't have the will to do it. So snap out. Come on. This is made up. It's not. You're calling it a disease. So I'm going to wrap up. There's an article in the New York Times. It's called "When Depression is Like a Cancer." It's written by a woman. She's a doctor of pediatrics, and she talks about the similarity between cancer and depression. And she uses her husband, who died by suicide, as the focal point. The point that I come away with is that we need to start equating depression for what it is. It's a disease. It's not a flaw in your character. It's a legitimate disease. So we say they died by suicide. He died by heart attack. He died by a car wreck. He died by suicide. Right? So that's something that I think if you don't take anything away, you'll hear that. It's a losing battle to go against the media and try to convince them to stop saying that. It doesn't bother me. I listened to a podcast the other day, and it's about suicide. And the host talks about She confronts a rabbi who's had his brother die by suicide. But he says, commit suicide. And she challenges him on that, and he has an answer. But overall, it's just a wording thing, but it can make a lot of difference. And then there's the cover. A young woman in my ward died a few years ago of suicide, by suicide. And it was covered up. It was never discussed as a suicide. It was described as what respiratory failure, I think. Well, when you take an overdose of opiates, you know how you die, right? You stop breathing. So maybe, yeah, that's what happened to her body, but that's not what caused her to take all those pills, right? So I think it would have been a lot healthier for the bishop to get up and say, this young woman died by suicide, and let's talk about that, like we're talking about. Because I think you could do a lot of good in a setting like that, because there's so much judgment going on. So much. I know. I mean, it's out there. Anthony Bourdain, you know, how many people judged him? Kate Spade. Robin Williams. Robin Williams did die by suicide, but he didn't die necessarily from depression. He had a brain disease, which I'm saying depression is a disease, but it was Parkinson's, and he was losing his ability to be funny and communicate and be himself. Took his life. Right? Saw no future. And that's the thing that depressive people need the very most, hope. If I have something out there that I can look forward to, and it's just not my routine of going to 7-Eleven and McDonald's and listening to Freddie Mercury, it's got to be a little more connected to a human being, and that's where I struggle. I have one good friend who goes to Sundance, calls me every day to check up on me. But he likes me. He even told me he loves me. You know, men don't say that. I've had several people say that because they're worried about me. Don't you worry about me? Oh, fine. Okay. Let's wrap it up. What other? Okay, the quote. This is a quote that I wrote the book about 5 years ago. It would be a very different book today, but that's. Can you put the?
I can never.
Oh, okay. The Tennyson quote. Tennyson wrote a poem called Ulysses. And I'd love to play the Helen Mirren. I've got that. It'd take too long. It's only 2 minutes.
I don't know.
We're actually.
Okay, right time. I'll just
Link to it on the video.
Tennyson says, well, if you're interested, come up and I'll show it to you in the book. Essentially, he says, and Ted Kennedy quoted this in his 1980 address to concede to Carter. He said, my brothers love these words from Tennyson. And I won't be able to do it properly, but the essence of it is, I am a part of all that I have met. Yeah, I am. I'm a part of the good things and the bad things. Another suicide, you know, winning the golf tournament. And he said, that which we are, we are. So young people probably file this away, read it when you're my age, because it may not mean anything. We are, that which we are, one equal temper of noble hearts. And then he says, there's something left for us to do. He says, there's some noble work. No, there's work of noble note yet to be done. And I try to believe that. You don't go around thinking, okay, what can I do that's noble to keep me alive? I do. I think about it a lot. What can I do? Where do I need to go? That poem, it's both encouraging and inspiring, and it's very depressing because Tennyson's not talking to depressed people. He's talking to people who are, you know, his shipmates, and they're rowdy guys, and they're willing to do anything for him. He's the king. So that's why it gets a little depressive. If I were one of the shipmates, I would rally around, but could I go through with, you know, doing what Tennyson's saying, going after some work of noble note? And I'll end with this. Freddie Mercury says, your time, your greatest hour is yet to come. And I think, oh, well, maybe my greatest hour came. You know, I think my greatest hour is back, you know, in those early slides. When I was doing well, you know, they say millions of people around the world have been trained by that thing that I put together. I think, well, maybe that's the noble thing that I did. I did that. Now it's okay, I can go there. I can leave this planet. And no, people say, Brad, what were your granddaughters doing that? Well, it'd be okay. I mean, you get to the point of rationalizing things you would never rationalize, like doing that to your grandkids. I didn't mean this to be so focused on that, so I hope that's. I guess that's the culmination for a lot of people. And so back to the article in the New York Times, it says there are two things that trigger your husband. His ex-wife, not her, his ex-wife said, "You don't deserve love." That one, boom, right there. Remember what I said about love, flaw in love? That one hit me really hard. I thought, are you writing this to me? And then the second one was, he believed he was a failure in his career, which I believe. I fully believe it. And people say, Brad, no, you weren't a failure. Look, you just wrote a book. Well, yeah, I'll probably make $10 from that book. I don't care. That's not the point. I had 20 good years, and I have a nice house and all that kind of stuff. But I have to say to myself, all right, how do I get past this thing about I don't deserve? I don't know if I believe that about deserving love, but I do know, well, I shouldn't put it so I should believe it. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to find it. And that's even more discouraging. Knowing that I also believe I'm a failure and that this man killed himself. I'm saying, well, dang it, maybe I shouldn't have read that article. I carry it around with me, I give it to people. And nobody, if you walked into my bedroom and looked around just casually, you'd probably say, holy crap, look what he's reading, look what he's watching. Nobody does, but you see stuff that will be trouble, I think. And somebody might call the cops, like they did one time. I talked them out of dragging me to the ER. And if they did, I would go into the kitchen and I would grab a knife and I would slit my wrist because I would never go to the emergency, the psych ward. I know lots of people go to the psych ward, but I happen to know some of the shrinks here and they're awful. One of them almost killed me, literally. All right, what inspiring thing can I say? We had Tennyson, he's inspiring. I can't do better than Tennyson.
You know, you don't have to inspire us, you can just end on that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm done. If you don't have any more questions, feel free to.